Alrighty, what is going on, crew? Excited to be here. Excited to be here for another day on this amazing earth. Got some fun stuff for you today. I'm really excited to jump in on how to look at becoming your own endo, your own doctor, your own nurse, PA, whoever you see for your diabetes. How do you become your own that, right? How do you replace that role so that you can make better decisions in your daily life with diabetes? We're chatting about that today, but first, I want to know if you're watching hashtag replay, or if you're here with this live, drop that in the comments below. Be sure to hit that like button so people know to come check it out. Come watch with us, all right? Now, today we're going to be talking about a few key components that go into managing your own diabetes. And I want to kick this off with a story from when I was first married. And my wife was first starting to get used to what it was like to live with somebody with type 1 diabetes and the ups and downs that come with living with diabetes. And in that process, of course, she saw some highs, she saw some lows. There were some worried times, and there were some scares, absolutely. But for the most part, early years in our marriage, I had not yet fully dove into what it means to fully take care of yourself as a diabetic. I was still a little bit ignorant, still kind of trying to live my life and ignore the fact that I had diabetes. I would still take my insulin for the most part, but I wasn't always counting my carbs or anything like that. So initially, it wasn't as obvious as it could be, with diabetes kind of getting in the way of a lot of stuff. And over the course of time, she noticed that there were patterns in my diabetes management, and she noticed that I fussed a lot about it. And I'm sure you've probably experienced this as well, where your blood sugars go up, they go down, and the more your blood sugars go up and down, or if they're stuck low, stuck high, it can affect our moods, right? In fact, I would love to know if that's ever happened to anybody else. If you're somebody who's experienced a bit of a mood swing, maybe some frustrations, or maybe you lashed out at somebody because you had a 300 blood sugar, let me know in the comments. Type the word mood if you've ever experienced a bit of a mood swing with the blood sugars. I know I have. And if you're like me, when those mood swings hit, you don't always acknowledge that it's because of blood sugars initially. But I will tell you that not too long, we got a mood in the comments already. I love it. Not too long after getting married, my wife started to pick up on the fact that my moods were oftentimes directly correlated with my blood sugars. And so whenever I'd snap at her and be like, rah, like, you do the dishes, right? She'd be like, are your blood sugars high? And of course, for me, I'm spiraling at that point. I'm like, how dare you? And I so oftentimes that, our blood sugars are impacting a lot of different areas in our lives. It's not just our health. There's a connection to a lot of different components in our lives. And so, when over the years we learned how to communicate and how to avoid fighting and arguments better, she learned how to ask in a nice way, hey, maybe you should check your blood sugars. And I'd, all right, fine. Ooh, 260, right? And then I'd have to go take care of that, and blood sugars would come back into range. I'd start feeling better. And, over the years, learning how to control my emotions. I'm not perfect by any means, but learning how to control them better than I used to when I have blood sugars that aren't cooperating, and making sure that I give myself a second before I respond to anybody else in anger or frustration or snapping at them. I got quite a few people with a mood. I love it. In fact, I'm going to jump in and make sure I've got live comments here so I can see who is saying what. I want to make sure I give you guys credit where credit is due. We got Margie Smith here. Who else we got? Sandra. We got Remy. Love it. My crew, who also has some moodiness with the blood sugars. Anyways, over the years, she's noticing these different things with type 1 diabetes, like, oh, when you have high blood sugars, you tend to be a bit more on edge and you're angered easily, and you should be aware of that. And so she's recognizing these patterns. But as I'm complaining, as a lot of us tend to do when life doesn't go our way, about blood sugars not cooperating, they're high, they're low, she picks this out one day and she's like, you've been complaining, and I'm trying to say this nicely, but you've been complaining recently about blood sugars that are consistently going high after breakfast, like often. And she's trying to tiptoe around and not anger me when my blood sugars are already high. But she's like, I'm trying to be nice, but it's like, I know you're trying hard with your diabetes, but it seems like you're always saying and always complaining that you're high after breakfast. Is that something that you think might be possible to do something about? And my first thought was, yeah, I'll bring it up in my next endo appointment, right? Next time I see my endocrinologist, I'll just bring it up and they'll do something, right? They'll fix it. And remember, this is at the point in my life where I wasn't taking control over my diabetes, right? I was just living, and diabetes was like in the sidecar. I was like, yeah, I have diabetes, whatever. It's a thing. But I had not yet dove into research mode and figured out how my blood sugars respond to things. And so, she mentioned this, and I was like, I'll just bring up my next appointment, which, as a lot of us might be familiar with, isn't a common thing. You don't go to your appointments once a week, right? For me, it was like once every 3 to 6 months. And that was if I could get an appointment, which is always a battle in and of itself. So, I'm like, oh, I'll bring it up next time. And she's like, well, you know that it's a pattern. Like, why not just make the changes yourself? Like, you know how to do it. And I was like, yeah, but I'm kind of thinking about this. Like, I do know how to change my insulin. Like, it's a number on my syringe or on my my insulin pen, right? I used to use syringes, and it was insulin pens. Now it's an insulin pump. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it literally is just I dial it one more in either direction, and that's how you change it. But I guess I feel like it's breaking the rules almost. Like it's like I'm not supposed to. It's got this interesting kind of feeling with it where you feel like your doctor is the only one that's allowed to make these changes because we've been told our whole lives, like, hey, doctor knows best, right? And they're making all the changes to the pills we take, to the shots we take, whatever it is. And I noticed in that moment that I wasn't making changes, even though I know they needed to be made, because I was waiting for my doctor, or for my endo, in this case, it was my endo, to make the changes for me. But that meant that I would have to continue living in that subpar quality of life for another 3 months when I knew what the solution was, right? This frustrating situation, this kind of purgatory of diabetes where you're stuck in the middle and you're like, I know what I need to do to get out of here, but I can't because I don't have my doctor with me. And, sometimes nowadays they've got virtual options, right? You can shoot an email over and that can help you get make some ground up before your next appointment. But even still, it's an extra step. It's extra friction. And I don't know about you, but when I have to message my doctor, even if it's something really important, like 2 weeks ago, we talked about something that got stuck in my arm. It'll still take me days to send a message because it's just inconvenient to take time out, log into my portal, send the email, wait 2 to 3 days for a response, right? And so as a result, our diabetes gets pushed off, and it can be frustrating as heck. And so she mentioned, okay, we've got these patterns, so you always go high after breakfast. You know what you need to do. You're not changing things because you feel like you're not allowed to, but why not? And, in so many cases, this is due to fear or uncertainty. We're worried that if we don't have the safety net of the doctor telling us what to do, that we could make the wrong decision and, of course, lead into a dangerous situation, which is absolutely true. And I want you to know this before we go into today's topic, looking at how to become your own endo, become your own doctor. Because if you do so recklessly, you can absolutely screw things up, right? You can absolutely end up back in the hospital and staring your doctor in the face. Hey, doc, what's up? Yeah, I almost died because I just recklessly changed my medication. How's it going? So you don't want that to happen, obviously. And before we get into the actual topics, I also need to preface this, as with everything, y'all know my shtick. This is not medical advice. I am not a doctor, right? I'm probably never going to be a doctor. I found my true calling in life, and this is to be taken with a grain of salt. If you want to go double check this with your doctor, by all means, do that. So just to give me a confirmation, give me a hashtag, my favorite, hashtag not a doctor. Drop that in the comments real quick while I take a sip of my afternoon coffee. Hashtag not a doctor. You know what? I haven't worn this in forever. I should have worn this today. I'm going to pull this out while you guys are typing away. Check it out. Check it out. I got a shirt made because it's just so true. Not a doctor. I just simplify blood sugars, right? Get that hashtag in there. I need to see it in the comments. Make sure you guys know this is not medical advice. Real quick. Just type it in there. Then we'll get into our topic for today, which is looking at how the heck to become your own endo, become your own doctor, right? The 3 rules that I live by, that I was taught initially when I was trying to get past that mental block of, I don't want to break the rules. I'm not supposed to do this. I'm supposed to wait for my endo, but I know what needs to happen, right? You guys are flooding in now. Love it. This is, we got Margie Smith, not a doctor. Remy, not a doctor. Nilza, not a doctor. Fantastic. All right, we may proceed. So looking at the 3 rules. Sandra, not a doctor. Awesome. Oh, they're all coming in. Whew, Christy, not a doctor. You guys are amazing. So the 3 rules to live by when becoming your own doctor, your own endo, your own PA, whatever it is, to look at in order to make your own changes. The first step, as my wife pointed out lovingly, I will add, is to find those patterns, right? You can't make any changes. You can't do anything dramatic without knowing what the patterns look like. If you experience something once, there's a good chance that it was a one-off event, right? There's a good chance that you won't know what you're doing unless you have the data to prove it. So first step, of course, is to get those patterns in line. So what does it look like? That looks like if I had high blood sugars once after breakfast, should I make changes? No, because that is a one-time event. That could have been that I went to brunch and had a ridiculous amount of food that I didn't dose properly for. That could have been Dawn phenomenon. That could have been feet on the floor. That could have been a stressful morning meeting at work. It could have been a number of things, right? So instead of changing based off of one event, you got to find the patterns before you do anything else. Pattern management, huge. Pattern isolation. Pattern isolation gets us into our next step, which is looking at isolated variables and how the heck do we adjust only one thing at a time when there's 42 plus different variables, right? Will you ever be able to isolate variables? And when you are looking at isolating different variables to test your blood sugars, to figure out why did I go high? Because here's the key behind pattern management. In addition to the pattern that you're isolating, you know, the high blood sugar after breakfast, you're not looking at just a high blood sugar, but why was that high blood sugar there, right? A high blood sugar can have a number of different sources and lots of correlations, but typically only 1 to 3 causations, meaning there's 1 to 3 things that probably caused that thing to happen. Sometimes it's a combination. Uh-oh, I don't want to freeze. Am I frozen? Let me know. Am I back? I think we're good. So there's only 1 to 3 things, sometimes in a combination, sometimes independent, that can impact blood sugars directly to that extent. So I'm looking at, my food, looking at a number of other things. We got cool, not frozen. Thank you, Sandra. So ultimately, within pattern management, we're trying to figure out why. Why did my blood sugars do that? And of course, that's not something you're going to have on day 1 after diagnosis. This will take time to learn about a lot of the variables that are going to impact blood sugars, right? It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's never an overnight thing. If anyone tells you that they can fix something in overnight, it's probably not a reality, unless it's like putting a Band-Aid on something. But I'll tell you, Band-Aids fall off. You don't want to fix a solution or fix a problem with the Band-Aid. You want the surgery, right? Get it done, fix it at its source. So pattern management, we're looking at isolating variables. We're looking at finding out which of the variables are most likely to be part of that causation, not just correlation, right? Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is we're looking at adjusting only with the appropriate data points. So we talked about data. It's not going to be a one-time thing. If I went high once, it could be 15 different variables. But instead, I'm looking at, okay, I've been going high after breakfast for a month straight now. And that's actually what my wife had mentioned. It was a ridiculous amount of time. And my thought was, well, I'll just deal with it for another 2 months, right? I have an appointment coming up. I'll just deal with it when I get there. Maybe it'll go away. I think so often we think, oh, maybe this is just a one-time thing, or it's a stressful week. Maybe I just got to get back into my routine. But the reality is, if you've been seeing it for a month straight, it's probably going to continue, right? So looking at the proper data in isolation, a big component here is if you're traveling, if you have a chaotic schedule, if like us, you are in the middle of a move that for some stupid reason is taking us 2 months instead of 2 weeks. If you're in the middle of chaos, it's a bit more difficult to test for these things. So understand that along with the variables, each of the variables are going to be interacting at different capacities through different timelines. What the heck does that mean? It means that different times of the day, different variables are going to have more or less of an impact in the presence of other variables. Insulin plus carbs versus insulin plus exercise. Very different interactions, right? So you got to have isolation when you're testing for these variables. I'm using big words here. I hope you guys are following along. All right, so that's number 2, is making adjustments only in the presence of absolute data, where you have the patterns established, all right, and you've done your due diligence to research blood sugar variables. Becoming your own doctor, again, not an overnight thing. Your doctor or your endo went to school for years to learn about this stuff, and they still can't crack the code. So what makes you think that you're going to get it overnight? Okay. I don't say that to deter you from this. I say that to warn you. You're not going to fix this overnight. I don't know how many times I have to say that. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. Okay. So with this, if you're choosing to become your own doctor, become your own endo, along with that, of course, you're taking on the risk of becoming the safety net. You don't have the safety net of a medical professional telling you what to do. But the good news is the safety net that exists in the medical system isn't a full safety net. There's holes, right? There's a lot of holes in the safety net of the medical system. And unfortunately, I fell through one of those holes. What I mean by that is that as they're giving you instructions, as they're teaching you things and telling you what you should do, what to expect with life with type 1 diabetes, there are existing biases. There are gaps in information. There's gaps in care, and it can lead you to be either forgotten about, misinformed, or misled. Unfortunately, the doctor that was first diagnosing me misinformed and misled quite a bit. And it was not on purpose. It was not intentional. I'm sure this gentleman was trying to do his absolute best. But with a lack of lived experience and a lack of expertise, this doctor gave me some really faulty information. So the safety net that we think exists within the medical system is present. But like I said, there's holes in the net that you could fall through. There are some doctors that have that net sewn tight. You're not getting through because they're amazing. But a lot of times there are holes that you can fall through. There's going to be biases. There's going to be, oh, you have to be low carb, or you have to be vegan, or you have to be this and that. And a lot of these things aren't completely true. They have good roots, but they're not entirely solid in their plans, right, in their strategies. So step number 2, only adjust in the presence of absolute data. You do have to do your due diligence, do your research, understand blood sugars before you go to make reckless decisions. And speaking of reckless decisions, any adjustments that you make should be done carefully, cautiously, and calculated. There's your 3 C's, all right? Carefully, cautiously, calculated, because this is not something that needs to be rushed. Why? Because you can't fix this overnight. And you should not try to fix this overnight, right? The more you try to rush things, the more likely you are to make mistakes. Same thing on your math test in junior high school, right? If you're rushing through the equations, trying to get your answers in because you took too long on the test, you're more likely to make one tiny mistake that's going to have one massive difference in your answer, right? So similarly, if you're calculating different blood sugars and looking at, do I adjust my basal or my bolus, or should I count my carbs, total carbs versus net carbs? What do I do with fiber? What do I do with fake sugars? You have to look at the entire equation, do the work, check your work, right? And in the presence of absolute data, make adjustments slowly, very slow, painfully slow. If you notice that you're not taking enough insulin like I was, I'm not going to go in there and take double or triple the amount of insulin for breakfast in an attempt to fix that meal, am I? No, because double or triple my insulin meant that I would have gone dangerously low. So recognize that if you are working towards becoming your own doctor, becoming your own endo, quote unquote, you have to be wary of the risks involved, right? Because if you do so without acknowledging the risks, you could put yourself into a dangerous position. Now, I, being somebody who is very precise and analytical, was able to isolate these variables and do the research, do the trial and error. And yet, I want to put this out there. Again, it was not an overnight fix. When I was studying, experimenting, and doing trial and error on my own self, it still took me 2+ years to get this thing figured out. And that was like obsessing over blood sugars, right? And I know this training started with like, become your own doctor. Yeah, hoorah. And now it's like, don't do it. Be careful. But I want you to fully grasp the importance behind this. There are risks involved with any decision you make, including going to your doctor. right? The risk involved is that they might not know what they're talking about, but they have to kind of look like they do because they're the doctor, right? Or they might have a bias, they might have some misinformation, they might mean the best, they might really truly care about you, but maybe they just don't know. Someone who told them the wrong stuff and they believed it was true and they gave it to you. Now you're getting screwed, right? So understand that risks are involved in every decision on both sides of every decision. It's just a matter of managing that risk and deciding where you want that risk to fall. If you want it to fall on yourself, you get more customization, you get more hands-on, but you do have more responsibility over the results, be they good or less than ideal, right? So, we got some comments. All right. Christy says, it's taken time, but little by little, I've dialed in my insulin delivery so I can feed my pizza addiction. I love it. This is an entire topic that I actually wanted to do a podcast episode on. So thank you, Christy, for bringing that up. And that topic is looking at how do we fit diabetes into our lifestyle and not cramming our lifestyle by restricting into our diabetes management, right? Christy's saying that she's figured out the insulin strategies in order to have pizza, not figured out how to make this super duper low carb, no carb pizza that tastes like crap because it works for diabetes. That's cramming. That's restricting your lifestyle to fit in the box of diabetes. Instead, break the box open, learn the strategies. It takes extra work. Yes, right? You got to take this into your own hands, but it enables you to still fit your diabetes into your lifestyle and enjoy things like pizza. I love that. That's amazing. That's all we're talking about here. Looking at how do we take things into our own hands? How do we live life as a renegade warrior? A renegade is somebody who, goes against the grain, decides that, I'm going to question everything. Why can't I have pizza? Why can't I have healthy blood sugars and an adventurous life where I experience the cuisine of the world and explore different cultures, right? Why not? That's what it means. Living by your own rules, creating a life that's custom to you that you get to enjoy. And you know what? I think this is a great branch into something else that we're doing right now. So right now, for those of you who haven't seen so in the group or on our emails or anything like that, we actually have a newsletter that's launching on Monday, June 13th, which is really exciting. This has been over a year and a half in the making at this point, and it's called the Renegade Warriors newsletter. In fact, let me know. I don't want to divvy off too far from our main topic, but drop the word renegade in the chat if this is something you guys want to hear about, and we can dive into like what it is, what's included, why the heck it's going to be the best thing ever. And if not, I don't know, type doctor and we'll keep talking about doctors and I'll go on another rant. We got a comment here from Kathy. At a theme park today, challenge is not food, it's the activity insulin ratio. Not doing terrible, but I need to treat it better. Absolutely. Yeah. Fit that diabetes into your lifestyle like that. I love it. We got a renegade from Sandra. Only comment so far, so we might be headed that direction. We're going to go with it. No comments yet outside of that one. All right, cool. We'll go with Renegade. So within the Renegade Warriors newsletter, what's so incredible about it is it's a resource that we've been packing together of everything that would be useful, but also only the things that would be useful. So we're filtering out everything else, all the extra fluff, all the crap, all of the propaganda and all the stuff that's like, the fad diets. We don't care about what's popular. We care about what works. That's the goal here. We're going to filter out all the extra stuff and just weed it down to what you need to know, what you need to do. That way you're not stuck researching for 2 freaking years like I had to do. You can get all of your information distilled into a compact newsletter that's going to deliver strategies, updates, what's new in the world of diabetes, what's working now, both for my clients, but also within my own daily life strategy. I'm going to be pulling back the curtain to show you guys what real life with diabetes looks like, how the heck to dose for pizza. That's going to be a good one. Maybe I should write about that in next month's newsletter. We got another renegade from Remy. Love it. So ultimately, this newsletter is going to be the culmination of living with diabetes and not being restricted to your diabetes, right? So it's how to fit your diabetes into your lifestyle with different strategies, different devices, different methods, not how to restrict yourself into diabetes, right? I'm not going to tell you have to eat a certain way. Not going to tell you have to exercise a certain way or go to sleep at a certain time. I'm going to show you what's working best in this moment for this type of person. But the reality is all of us are different. We're all at different places with our diabetes, and we all have different preferences in life. Some people want to hang out on the couch all day. Other people want to live a crazy, active, spontaneous life where they travel to a new country every month. That was me like 5 years ago. I don't do that anymore. Can't do that with a baby just yet. It's a different lifestyle, but that's a whole other story. So ultimately, this newsletter is built to give you the core content of what you need to live your life as a renegade warrior. Again, renegade warrior. We get the term warrior, right? We know that's what we are as diabetics because every single day we wake up and we decide to fight. We weren't given a choice, right? It's wake up and fight or else. And I know we don't want to talk about the or else because it's kind of depressing, right? So we're warriors because we wake up and choose to fight. But on top of that, the renegade warrior is somebody who wakes up, chooses to fight, but goes, I bet we could do that better. I wonder what other ways we could innovate on these diabetes management strategies so I don't have to eat the same cardboard food every day. So I don't have to eat at the same times every day. So I don't have to restrict myself from enjoying a theme park because of the activity and insulin combo being so difficult. I want to be able to eat pizza at the theme park and then go eat ice cream and then go on a roller coaster or whatever the heck you guys are enjoying today. That's the point. To not hold back, right? To be able to have a balance between quality of life and quality of blood sugars. And yes, they are integrated. I saw somebody comment on one of my videos, I think it was on YouTube, saying that, good blood sugars lead into a higher quality of life. I couldn't agree more, but you have to find the balance, right? I've been at a point in my life in the past where my blood sugars were near perfect. And when I say near perfect, I mean they stayed at 120 all day, all night. Like it was right there. And my only adjustment was to just drop it down 30 points and I would have had perfect blood sugars, better than a non-diabetic. But I was miserable. I felt like I was living in a prison, right? Because I had to eat the very specific way and I had to exercise a very specific way. I didn't know my schedule. It was a nightmare. On the other side, I've also lived a life where I didn't care about blood sugars and I traveled the world and I had fun and I did all this stupid stuff, but my blood sugars were a mess and I felt sick inside, right? It's a combo. You got to have the good blood sugars and the healthy, happy life in order to achieve that quality of life that you're after, right? And those are the kind of strategies that I want to share with you guys. That's why we're pulling back the curtain to show you what I've been doing over the years. Not only my experiments in the past, you guys have seen trainings on those, but what's happening today? What are the strategies I'm implementing right now? How the heck do I work and parent and move and do housework and go work in the community and volunteer? How do I do that and keep my blood sugar stable? Like, how do you have extra mental capacity for that? I'll show you guys that stuff and more in the newsletter. First issue is actually going out July 1st, and our early bird waitlist is getting first dibs on that on Monday, June 13th. I know we posted about the Renegade Warriors waitlist in this group yesterday, so I'm curious if you've already gotten on the waitlist, type the words Renegade Waitlist. I want to see how many people here are watching it. That way I know if you guys already know what the deal is with it, I won't continue down that path. I'm getting fired up. This thing it's been a passion project for a very long time. I cannot wait to get it into your hands, like physically into your hands. You're going to hold this. It's going to be amazing. Remy says Renegade Waitlist. Love it. Sandra says love it. Remy says Renegade. Awesome. Sandra also says Renegade Waitlist. Awesome. So you got a couple people here. So with that, we've got a lot of opportunities. Kathy also says Renegade Waitlist. Amazing. So a lot of you guys already hopped on the waitlist, which means you will be the first notified when the Renegade Warriors newsletter goes live. And the reason that's important is because I am one man. My team is busy doing other things. So my team assists me in getting a lot of our other products and offers and events and coaching services taken care of. And so, I've got to, since this is a bit of a passion project of mine, I have to take the forefront of that responsibility, the printing, the delivering, until we decide to grow it, if it is something that people truly benefit from. And that's what my goal is with this, is to really have you walk away from each newsletter and go, holy cow, that was a golden nugget if I've ever found one before, right? That's my goal. So if that does happen, people love it. We may open it up to more people in the future, but for now, we're limiting it to the first 50 people that are able to grab that. So the wait list gives you first dibs, first notification, but I'm going to give you guys a heads up. The wait list already has over 75 people on it, which means it's going to be a race because there's not enough spots already. So first step is get on the wait list. Second step, keep an eye out for the email on Monday. Once you're on the wait list, giving you a notification, you jump on it, you grab it, and you'll be good to go. And then the doors close. We'll see again in the future. We might reopen it if I can get some of my team members to help me out with it. I think that'd be a blast. We got a question. And some more. Got Renegade Waitlist from Margie. Love it. Remy says, what time are you sending out the email? It's a fantastic question. Ultimately, it depends on one factor. And that one factor is that I am currently creating a bonus for everybody. That's going to be going out with everyone's enrollment into that, Renegade Warriors newsletter. So if I can finish the bonus on time, then it will likely be going out in the morning. If I'm still working on the bonus because I want it to be absolutely incredible, then it might go out in the afternoon. And that's going to be Pacific Standard Time. So waitlisters will probably get a little heads up. So I want to make sure you guys are ready for it. But that's going to be the deal. I want to make sure I get you guys some fun extra goodies as well. I always reward my action takers. Always, always, always. So there might be some fun stuff that gets sent out in addition to your first newsletter. We'll see. So first step though, because I know we got a couple people who did not comment Renegade Waitlist, which means you're not on the waitlist, which means you're probably like, how do I get part of that? So real quick, if you go to renegadenewsletter.com, in fact, I think I can type on this screen. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, I totally can. All right, check this out. We're going to go to right there. Oh, that's fancy. Go to renegadenewsletter.com. That's where you'll find the wait list. All right. You sign up, your name, your email. That's it. There's even a free training, I think, on the other side of that once you're in the wait list area as well that I want you guys to have access to. So go grab that, get on the wait list. You'll be first to notify on Monday, June 13th, when it does go live. This is something that's going to change lives. I know it. I personally subscribe to, I think, like 5 other newsletters in like other areas of life, like health, business, that sort of stuff. And no one has done this before for diabetes. And so I wanted to bring you guys something that is not only innovative, but also life-changing. So head over to Renegade Newsletter. I got to go. I got to hop on actually a client call real quick. They're probably like, where the heck is Matt? I'm just so passionate about this. Cannot wait to get it to you guys. So if you're not on the wait list yet, go to renegadenewsletter.com. Looks like we already got a bunch of people who are super stoked for you guys. If you do have questions, feel free to post them on this thread. And I'm going to make another post either tomorrow or Saturday with a bit more info as well. All right. So I hope you guys found this useful. Remember, if you're going to try to attempt to be your own doctor, your own endo, you got to be careful, but it is possible. And if you want to get one step closer to knowing how to do that, I will be sharing my secrets, my methods, my journey in becoming my own version of that over the years in that newsletter. All right. So if you want to grab that, this is your one shot. Get over there, and appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Always love hanging out to you guys every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you guys next week. And as always, keep up the fight. I'll see you guys.